Thanks for inviting us in at 6 o'clock, and we begin tonight with the Delphi murders trial, which officially begins in less than 24 hours.
And this certainly is a day that the loved ones of the two girls, Abby Williams and Libby German, have waited for more than 7.5 years. And today there was a flurry of activity in the courtroom ahead of the opening statements tomorrow.
Our senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel continues our live team coverage tonight in Delphi, where this trial gets underway tomorrow morning. Bob?
Scott and Ann, as you mentioned, lots of activity today. Some of that activity still going on right now behind me, setting up extra security for opening statements that will begin tomorrow morning. But today's activity actually started a couple hours away over in Allen County, where Judge Francis Gall swore in the jury and also addressed some important issues that still need to be figured out. 13 News' Emily Longnecker was in the courthouse in Fort Wayne. Emily, tell us what happened.
Bob, one of those issues is the composite sketches of the possible suspect and whether the jury will be able to see those sketches during the trial. The prosecution doesn't want that to happen. The defense does. Judge Francis Gall said she'll give her decision in the morning before the jury comes in and the trial starts, and both sides give their opening statements. The state argued sketches of a possible suspect were an investigative tool used by police to generate leads. This was the first sketch police released in the early days of the investigation into the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. A second sketch was released 2 years later. The prosecution said neither sketch was relevant because they were not used to identify Richard Allen. Retired FBI agent and forensic arts specialist Thomas Plants testified that composite sketches are used for recognition, not identification. Plants told the court he's created 400 sketches in his career. He testified he interviewed witness Betsy Blair 3 days after she says she saw Bridge Guy, the person investigators believe killed Abby and Libby. The person the prosecution says is Richard Allen. Plants also testified he interviewed a second witness, Sarah Carbaugh, 4 months and 6 days after the girls disappeared. That interview led to sketch number 2 that police did not release to the public for another 2 years. Plants told the court to do sketches. He first talks to a witness at length and later asks them on a scale of 1 to 10 how close the sketch comes to looking like the person they saw. Plants testified he's never received a 10 where a sketch, quote, looks exactly like the person he drew, and that he didn't believe a 10 was attainable. The defense argued the jury should at least see sketch number 1. The defense told the court, quote, Miss Blair says this is the man she saw on the bridge, and it was a 10 out of 10. The defense also said the state did not use sketch number 1 to identify Allen because, quote, it looks nothing like Mr. Allen. Judge Gall said in court she was struggling with how the sketches could be relevant if they weren't used to identify the defendant. But she said she would give her ruling tomorrow morning. And again, that ruling will happen before the jury even comes into the courtroom and the trial starts. So some big issues heading into day one. And at the center of all these issues, what the jury will be allowed to see and hear during this trial. In Allen County, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
Thank you, Emily. So this trial that's going to be taking place here at the Carroll County Courthouse, it is a big deal here in Delphi, as you can imagine. It's a big deal across Indiana, really all over the nation. And that's why 13 News and other media have repeatedly asked to have a camera inside the courtroom for the trial. But all of our requests have been denied.
Will Fran Gall presiding.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Judge Gall did allow cameras in the courtroom at one of Richard Allen's pretrial hearings back in late 2023, but then things went sideways. The judge kicked Allen's public defenders off the case. They appealed to the state Supreme Court, which overruled the judge and reappointed the defense team. Things got very tense, and we've never been allowed to have cameras back inside the Delphi murders courtroom ever since. If a judge wants to keep cameras out of a trial, court rules here in Indiana give no opportunity to challenge that decision. Our 13 News legal analyst, Katie Jackson-Lindsay, explains.
That judge has complete discretion, and that judge's discretion is final. There's no one to appeal to, essentially. But in terms of changing this decision right now, at this moment, there is no recourse to do that.
And she says it's not really the media that loses out as much as the public.
What needs to come out of this trial, beyond justice for either side, is public trust in our system. And having cameras in the courtroom would allow the public to actually see how it plays out, regardless of this verdict, there's going to be one side that's very unhappy. Any lack of public trust that comes from this trial in particular is going to be far-reaching, far beyond Carroll County, because everyone is watching right now.
Keep in mind, this trial is being held here in a small courtroom in Carroll County to give the residents of Delphi a chance to see this trial themselves. But by not allowing cameras in the courtroom, where seating is extremely limited, Delphi residents will have little chance to see the actual proceedings. So that's where the media comes in, and here's what's going to happen. The judge has allotted 12 seats inside the courtroom for media to cover this trial. The media is working together to divide those between print and broadcast. There will be a random drawing to determine which outlets get a pass inside the courtroom each day, and those passes will rotate. 2 of the media passes each day will go to pool reporters, which means they'll brief all media and share their notes with the other reporters, including those who did not get a seat inside the courtroom.
By the way, after the judge turned down our request for cameras in the courtroom, we asked if we could at least have an audio recording, record the audio of the trial, or have an overflow room where more people would be able to hear exactly what was going on. All of those requests were also denied. I can tell you, just a few minutes ago, the first media drawing took place to determine who's going to be in the courtroom tomorrow. 13 News will be inside the Carroll County courtroom for the opening statements in the Delphi murders trial, and we will be here at the courthouse every day of the trial to tell you exactly what happens inside the courtroom. In Delphi, I'm Bob Siegel, 13 News.
Yeah, we look forward to your continuing coverage there in Carroll County. Thanks so much, Bob. And you can take an in-depth look at this case by watching our Delphi Murders special, which is streaming tonight at 7 over on WTHR+. This is a free download on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and Roku.
Right now, IMPD is investigating a deadly shooting on the north side of Indy. We want to show you this video from the scene. We took these images just a couple of hours ago near 29th and MLK. Police say they found a man dead in an alley there, and now they're talking with witnesses to figure out what happened and who's responsible.
The Henry Street Bridge project on the west side of Indianapolis continues moving forward tonight. But this afternoon, city leaders told us they uncovered something remarkable.
This is a project that will connect the near west side to downtown. And our Karen Campbell was there for the discovery today and shares exactly what crews uncovered.
Well, DPW tells us they found railroad tracks, but not any kind of railroad tracks. These are considered to be the first electric railroad in the United States, and it's right here in Indianapolis. And local historians also tell us they found some prominent African-American names who were buried in the former Greenlawn Cemetery. On Thursday, DPW invited city leaders and local historians to get a first-hand look at the Henry Street Bridge project, a project connecting the near west side to downtown Indianapolis, and also led by a team of archaeologists.
So this is going to be a new type of asset for DPW. It's going to be a majority pedestrian bridge. It's going to be 60% pedestrian facilities, 40% vehicular, and that's going to include both a linear park and the extension of the cultural trail.
A community advisory group also got to tour the area. Eunice Trotter tells 13 News the group uncovered 1,300 names of people buried here at the former Greenlawn Cemetery, burial records that had been lost.
But some of them include Morrison Greathouse. Morrison Greathouse was the great-grandfather of Muhammad Ali. John Britton. John Britton was the first Grand Master of the Prince Hall Lodge of Masons here in Indianapolis.
DPW says they will continue working with archaeologists during the excavation phase, which is expected to last through spring of 2025. And the Henry Street Bridge is expected to be complete by 2026. In Indianapolis, Karen Campbell, 13 News.
Still ahead on this Thursday night, should Indiana legalize marijuana?
That's a question that we're taking to the 3 candidates who are now competing to become Indiana's next governor. Angela?
Anne-Marie, clear and cool. Evening temperatures in the 50s. Overnight, we drop into the 30s.
Plus, there's a new project to improve safety for cyclists and pedestrians here in Indianapolis.
We want you to see which part of our city they plan to target. Next on 13 News at 6.